Hey, how's it going, everyone? I just want to review two different subjects that we've learned about in the last 7 or 8 class periods. The first one is the law of demand and diminishing marginal utility, which relates directly to the law of demand. And then the second thing I want to review, let me make my demand curve here, is the idea of demand versus quantity demanded. Okay, so those are the two aspects I'm going to talk about here. So here is our demand graph. Okay, on the bottom we have quantity. And then on the side here we have price. Okay, y-axis, x-axis. So the demand curve always slopes downwards. Let's start there. The reason why the demand curve always slopes downward, and again, sometimes it's a curve, sometimes it's a straight line. We always call it a curve in economics. The demand curve always slopes downward because of the law of demand or the law of diminishing marginal utility. Here's all that means. And we'll keep this very simple. When you buy your first donut and eat it, that makes you very happy. Okay? Assuming you like donuts, and take whatever food you like and do this with it. The first donut makes you very happy, and from there, every additional donut gives you less and less and less additional satisfaction, right? And obviously, by your 12th donut, you're not enjoying it as much as you did the first donut, I would hope. And so once you get to the end of the line here, the quantity is very high and the amount of additional utility is very low, all right? So therefore, if someone was selling you donuts, you would pay a good amount of money for the first one, but by the last one, you're not paying as much for it, all right? That's the willingness of the consumer is what the demand curve is, all right? So that is the reason why the demand curve slopes downward. Now, the law of demand simply states that as price decreases, the quantity demanded will increase, all right? Which again is also very self-explanatory. Imagine Jordan sneakers. You might not be willing to buy them if they are $750, but at $50, you're probably more than happy to buy them. So, and that's true, of course, with any item. Okay, so here's our demand graph. Let's now talk about the difference between demand and quantity demanded. Quantity demanded is when we move throughout the points on this same demand curve. Change in quantity demanded, change in quantity demanded, change in quantity demanded, change in quantity demanded, and so on. Okay? These are all changes in QD, quantity demanded. And what changed? Price. Okay? Price influences quantity demanded. Okay? Namely, as price goes down, the quantity demanded is going to go up, right? So if this is $10 for whatever item we're talking about, okay, and this is $2 for whatever item we're talking about, let's plot this point. Let's say 5 people are willing to buy it here. 5 is the quantity demanded here. And then if the price goes to $2, we plot that point over here, and 20 people are willing to buy it. The quantity is 20, right? Quantity demanded changed in response to price. Price influences quantity demanded. That's it. Nothing else. Price always influences quantity demanded. Okay, so now that we've got that down, let's move to a shift in demand. A shift in demand is different than a shift in quantity demanded. They are not the same thing. And people get this confused very often, which is normal, but I'm trying to clarify. So, quantity and price. Okay, so this is our demand curve. And let's say this is demand for hand sanitizer. Okay, demand for hand sanitizer. This first demand curve is from 2 months ago, okay, before the coronavirus hit the United States, big time, okay? So This is the old demand curve for hand sanitizer. If somebody tried charging 20 bucks for hand sanitizer, I would hope and think we'd probably laugh at them and be like, what are you talking about? I will just wait to wash my hands or buy hand sanitizer from a different place. No big deal, right? I'm not paying $20 for a small bottle of hand sanitizer. That's ridiculous. Okay, so the quantity demanded at $20 would be 0. However, of course, if the price dropped to $1, let's say, a lot of people are willing to buy the hand sanitizer, right? Maybe, let's call this 10 million people in the US are willing to buy the hand sanitizer at $1 per bottle. That's reasonable. Now, again, if we were to shift the price from $20 to $1 along the same demand curve, that is a change in the quantity demanded. However, let's say the coronavirus hits. Okay, the coronavirus increased our demand curve. It shifted our demand curve. Shift in demand. Not a shift in quantity demanded, a shift in demand. Notice how our entire demand curve just moved. It went up. Okay, it increased. It shifted outward. We're no longer along the same curve. We have a whole new one. That's a shift in demand. What shifted it? An outside force. Shifts in demand are caused not by price, but by other factors. In this case, that other factor is the coronavirus, right? And so now, if somebody tried selling your hand sanitizer for $20, which used to warrant 0 buyers, now that's no longer the case. You can now sell hand sanitizer for $20 and have many buyers, right? Maybe if this was 10 million, maybe you have 5 million buyers at $20 per bottle. And this actually was happening on Amazon, maybe still is, okay? And of course, if you lower the price, you're still going to get even more buyers for your hand sanitizer, but you're operating on a completely new demand scale than before. The entire demand shifted, and people are willing to buy the good at a higher rate at every single price point. So at $20 per bottle, you used to be able to sell 0. Now you can sell 5 million. At $1 per bottle, you used to be able to sell 10 million. Now you can sell whatever this number is, 17 million. Okay? At every single price, you're now able to sell more than before, and more quantity is demanded than before. However, that's not a shift in quantity demanded. It's called a shift in demand. And yes, the quantity increases, but the terminology is different that we use to describe it. All right? So hopefully we understand that quantity demanded is along the same curve, right? This would be a shift in QD. This is a shift in demand. It's a shift in demand, shift in quantity demanded. All right. Hopefully that makes it somewhat clear, and we can go from there. The assessment tomorrow won't be terribly difficult. All right. I don't plan to try to trick you on anything. We're looking at probably 15 multiple choice for a 30-point total assessment. Usually your assessments are 100 points, so this is only about a third of a normal assessment, but we'll have them more often in order not to, I want to try to avoid the massive tests with 50 questions on them, just because there's less room for clarification. I'd rather just take it in baby steps as we go here. So hopefully this makes sense. If it doesn't, feel free to message me. I'm more than happy to answer questions.